Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, we've been overwhelmed with details on this issue for months now. And I've thought a lot lately about the fact that all the primary supporters of this bill have publicly stated they hate Obamacare. They would end it if they could. And I believe them. I think the majority of the people in this House from both parties would agree with that. I also don't believe that any member of this House from either party has any desire whatsoever to hurt any of our citizens. We would all like everyone to have the health care that they would need. So why is it that we've had so much trouble coming to an agreement on this? I think to answer that, we have to stop and get out of the details a minute and consider a larger question. Because these issues are going to come up again. And I don't think we've given enough thought to this question. Some of you may think this question is a joke, but I assure you I'm completely serious, and I think we need to consider this now and for the future. Are we still a free people? Do we still enjoy the liberty to address the challenges that we face in the way that we deem best? These very intelligent people, and I mean this sincerely, that created the private option, if they had been able to create what they truly believe to be the best approach to health care in our state, does anyone here think it would look anything like the private option? If this body had the liberty to start with a blank slate, could we create a health care system for the people of Arkansas that was better at a lower cost? Of course we could. I've recently attended several doctor panels sponsored by Conduit for Action, and I've learned a lot more about the crushing challenges of Obamacare placed on these doctors. I've also heard some amazingly creative ideas from doctors who have already dramatically lowered the cost and improved the care of their patients. And I'm now absolutely convinced there is no way the Affordable Care Act is going to improve health care in this country. It's impossible, even if we could afford it. It will destroy quality health care in this country, and in the end, the poor will suffer most of all. They always do. And that's just one reason I will never vote for this bill. The Affordable Care Act does stupid things. It tells people who already had health insurance that they chose and liked, you did not choose well. You can't keep it. You've got to do something else. It drives people away from doctors they've trusted for years. It's made it significantly more difficult to have access to some of the best hospitals in the country. It dictates to women who are elderly, infertile, or have taken a vow of celibacy that they, along with men, single men, must have pregnancy coverage. It demands the little sister of the poor accept a policy that includes abortion services in violation of their conscience and their First Amendment rights. So I ask you again, are we still free people? The most famous words in the history of our nation are probably these. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We all know these words. We can all recite them by heart. But we seem to have forgotten the words that immediately follow those in our Declaration of Independence. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. Those sound like the words of a free people, a people who are determined to remain a free people. Are we determined to remain a free people? We don't have to abolish our government, but we do have to alter our thinking and reclaim our constitutional rights The people created the states, who created the federal government, and not the other way around. Our Constitution clearly enumerates limited power for the federal government, and the 10th Amendment says all of their powers are reserved to the states and to the people. That sounds to me like the Constitution of a free people. It doesn't sound much like what we have today. So I ask you again, are we still a free people, or are these now just words on old parchment? Is it our job as legislators to serve our people or serve the federal government? Friends, we will never be able to create a truly efficient, effective healthcare system for our people unless we understand this. Only a free people who have the ability to choose the best course of action can create a system like that. We will never be able to do this by remaining servants of a central government that allows only poor choices that meet nobody's needs but theirs. So we could begin by saying something like this: Mr. President, with all due respect, the Affordable Care Act legally passed by Congress no longer exists. You have changed that law, Mr. President, 28 times through executive fiat. But Mr. President, you have no constitutional authority to amend our laws. According to our Constitution, the power to amend laws is granted solely to our Congress, the people's representatives. By ignoring that law, Mr. President, you violated your oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. Mr. President, you're not the only one who's taken an oath to defend our Constitution. We who serve the people of Arkansas in this legislature have taken that same oath to that same Constitution, and we take our oath seriously. So, Mr. President, we hereby announce our intention to develop a new healthcare system for the people of Arkansas, using the best ideas of our doctors, our hospitals, and our people. And we will not allow our hands to be unconstitutionally bound in that process. Now that sounds like the voice of the free people. If we have the courage to reject the ridiculous limited choices the Federal Care Act forces on us, we can devise a plan that will pass in this House with an overwhelming majority. Because truth, although difficult, simplifies. Just as it was for our nation's founders, the fundamental questions are always the same. Are we still a free people? Are we going to remain a free people? As it's been for every generation of Americans, the answer to that question lies entirely with us.